Let's bring you some breaking news now out of Ethiopia's Tigray region. A ceasefire between government forces and rebels has been agreed to in the capital, Mekelle. And we're getting reports that forces from the Tigray People's Liberation Front are in control of the city after government forces withdrew several hours ago. Ethiopia's military, with the help of Eritrean troops, has been battling forces loyal to the TPLF for nearly 8 months in a conflict that has displaced 2 million people. Now, this is a developing story. We're going to speak now to a resident in Mekelle, Mehret Ab. He works for Doctors Without Borders. Thank you for your time. Just tell us what you're seeing, hearing there in Mekelle.
Thank you so much for having me.
But if you can hear me, sir, can you just tell us what you are seeing and hearing about what's happening there on the ground?
Like 3 hours or 4 hours ago, there has been fireworks and a lot of people cheering due to the fact that the TDF has already been in control of the city. And still people are across all over the city cheering, and a lot of fireworks are being heard. That's what exactly is happening in the city.
All right, thank you for that. We're going to go now to Malcolm Webb, who's been monitoring developments from Nairobi. He joins us live. Malcolm, what are you hearing?
Well, what we've heard, speaking to people on the ground there in Mekelle, is that within the last couple of hours, the Tigrayan Defence Forces, the TDF, have moved into the city. We heard that there was heavy fighting between them and the government troops, the Ethiopian National Defence Forces, around the airport, initially around the airport. And we've heard people on the ground saying that the TDF took control of the airport, have taken control of 3 key road checkpoints that lead into the city. We haven't been able to speak to them ourselves, and the government haven't commented yet on this either. But media channels, online media channels, which are closely affiliated with the TDF's leadership, have reported since that the TDF's taken control of the city of Mekelle. And as we just heard them from the gentleman on the phone, reports of people celebrating in the streets, TDF soldiers and local residents, and shooting fireworks. There are pictures on social media that seem to show that. We haven't been able to verify them, but people we've spoken to on the ground say that that's what's happening. Meanwhile, the head of the interim government of the Tigray region that was appointed by the central government had requested the central government for a ceasefire. And we've just seen a tweet a short while ago from and a statement from the Prime Minister's office saying that they have indeed accepted that ceasefire.
OK, Malcolm, sorry if I'm being a little bit too simple here, but you're talking about the TDF, Tigrayan Defence Forces. Is this forces with the Tigray People's Liberation Front?
The Tigray People's Liberation Front was initially an armed group, but then they're the group that dominated Ethiopia's politics and military for nearly 30 years until Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed took power 3 years ago. Then in December last year, the Ethiopian National Defence Forces launched an operation, a military operation in the Tigray region against the TPLF, as it was called at the time. Now, since this conflict has developed, they've become the TDF, the Tigrayan Defence Forces. They say that they're representing the Tigrayan people, the people of the Tigray region, who they say have been persecuted by not only Ethiopia's military, but also the military from neighbouring Eritrea in a conflict that's gone on ever since the Ethiopian military moved in late November, early December last year. But these events that we seem to be seeing right now, this takeover of the city of Mekelle, is certainly a change in direction from the way that the conflict has gone over the last 7 or so months since it began.
Malcolm, we've got about a minute left. Just remind our viewers, I mean, this has been a very violent, very bloody, very difficult to cover conflict with cuts in communication, trying to get information out, hasn't it?
Very difficult. From very early on, the government cut off internet in most of the towns and and the telephones have been cut off as well. Road travel is very difficult. It's very difficult for people to move around. The province is very difficult for humanitarians to get access. We're able to piece together bits of information from reports and from people who've left there, made it to the capital Addis, or by snippets of information we can piece together on phone calls. But access to the press has generally been very restricted, and at the same time there have been growing reports of massive human rights abuses, massacres of what people now believe must be thousands of civilians since that conflict began.
All right, thank you very much for that, Malcolm Webb.